Turn ordinary bird photos into works of art. So you can turn something like this into something like this. Find out how next. Hi guys, and thanks for tuning in. You know, I am very lucky in my part of the world here when it comes to the amount of species I've got to choose from when it comes to bird photography. Today I'm going to be taking this shot I took of a male regent bowerbird in Lamington National Park here in Queensland, Australia. There he is, giving me his best Zoolander blue steel look and turning it into a more abstract, minimalist style artwork. And for those who are interested, this shot was taken with the 50 megapixel Sony A1 with the Sony 100 to 400mm G Master lens. All right, let's jump into Adobe Photoshop and rip into it. Now before I start, I just want to clarify this technique would mainly work well with birds that have a dominant color, things like a yellow canary or one of those white snowy owls, for example. It's pretty easy really. We're going to be isolating the main pattern around this guy's head and placing it onto a black background. So we're going to have these piercing yellow and black eyes looking straight at us from the depths of darkness. Okay, so to begin with, I'm just going to start a new template or a new background. So I'm just going to use a 3:2 configuration, and I'm also going to make the background black. So I'm going to create that. So there's our background to begin with. Okay, let's go back over to the bird now. So for this exercise, and so this tutorial doesn't run a million miles long because I don't know about you, but I don't really like long videos. I like to keep my videos short. Let's just go up to the selection tool, but I'm going to use the magnetic lasso tool, and I'm just going to start about halfway around his back there. I'm just going to go around his head. And I'm using a feather of about 2 pixels. Doesn't matter if it's that rough. So we're just going to come back over here and we're going to select that. Okay, we're going to go up to the top, we're going to go edit, copy that, we're going to come back over to our new palette and we're going to edit, paste. Okay, so this is where we could move the bird's head into position where you want it. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it dead center. So before I do that, I'm actually going to get it to the size I want it. To do that, I'm just going to come up to edit, free transform, and just holding down the Alt button, that will keep the constraints of the bird. I'm just going to make it a little tiny bit bigger. Okay. Just going to drop that down to about there. What I'm going to do is, and there's a couple of ways you can do this, I'm going to crush those blacks in that bird so it matches the background. What I do is I just come up to image and I select curves. And with the curves, I just crush those blacks right down, almost to the point where you can just match it in with your background. And then I'm going to raise up the highlights a little bit, the brights. So I get that, almost that bit of a nice S-curve. This is very simple. You can see already it's starting to take shape. I'm going to come over to my left, I'm going to select my razor tool, I'm going to have a soft edge of about 100. And to make that bigger, I just use my brackets. And I'm just going to get rid of these bits around the outside. So it really does blend in with the background. So I'm actually going to move this little fellow, just get rid of this down here too. I'm going to move him down a little bit in the frame. But I'm just going to make my eraser a little bit smaller and I'm just going to blend in the edge. See, I'm going around the edge of his head, just giving that little bit of an overlap over top of his head, just blending in with the background. Now over to the side here, if you just zoom in a little bit, you'll see there's just a slight line there. So coming back over and I'll grab a hold of my eraser tool one more time and I'm just going to make that a little bit smaller and just get rid of that line. There's also a little dot there on his face. So just come back out to full screen. I'm just going to move this down a little bit, just down into the center. So you can see already that looks quite cool the way the black on the black and just the patterns of the bird's head stand out. I'm just going to lift up the hue saturation. I'm just going to lift it up to about, say, about 10, I think. That'll be enough. And that's looking pretty good because it's almost like he's peering out of the darkness. So from there, if you go to full screen, just F and then that, what I'm going to do is just come back into Photoshop. I'm just going to give that a nice little bit of a stroke around the outside edge. Let's go to the bottom layer. Let's just unlock that bottom layer and we'll go to stroke. So yeah, about 25, that'll do. So we've taken an ordinary bird photo and we've turned it into a type of work of art. So you can imagine what this would look like in a room that has a black theme or even a yellow theme. As I mentioned, this technique would mainly work with birds that have a dominant color. For example, that snowy owl is mainly a white bird, but it has those incredible demonic type eyes. So if you were to isolate that and put that onto a white background and then feathered it out enough so it blended into the white background, I think the results would be pretty cool. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you got something out of this little type of creative tutorial when it comes to bird photography and turning it into works of art. As I say, never stop creating, and I'll see you next time.